Hey, Mark.
Hey, Elaine.
Do you know? Well, you will know because I've told you already. But do you recall that the last episode that we did was our 200th episode?
I'd forgotten.
Had you?
Yes. Well, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has. And that was what I was sort of coming round to in my head. We've been doing this now for 4 years. The last episode was our 200th episode, but it took us a while to work that one out. But things have really changed since we started the podcast. Clearly, we started it in lockdown, in the height of COVID, so you've got to kind of park that there. But when we first started doing the podcast, we were very much doing things separately. We weren't able to do things together. Famously, we would, one person would go to the cinema, the other person would wait outside with a child, not through the entire film, but then we would do a childcare swap over in the car park.
Your definition of famously is very different to mine, but yeah, let's carry on.
So we were doing all those sorts of things. We were not going on, in quotes, dates. It was very much, you would go and see a film, I would go and see a film, maybe I would watch something on telly. We were doing a lot of childcare. We're both parent carers, our son's profoundly disabled, so we have a lot of things going on. And that really sort of, you could see that in the podcast and in the episodes, but things have really changed. And now I was genuinely thinking about this and looking at sort of the life of the podcast and wondering why it was taking us a while to get to a new episode, because that 200th episode was a couple of months ago. And I think it's because life has moved on somewhat and we're now going to things together through the support of some very lovely people who know who they are. We've been able to start doing things together. And most of that has involved wrestling. Not quite what I would have thought about. You know, if I was thinking 4 years ago, okay, things are like this now. Obviously, we've got the lockdown. Obviously, we've had a real life unexpected. Lots of things have happened. We've had some really, really difficult times. And now we've got to try and get our head around what's sort of happened to our family. But maybe in a few years' time, things might be different. This was not the different I was thinking of, but it is welcome.
It's very different for you.
We went to, it's on brand for us. We went to the premiere of a wrestling documentary called Watch the Lights at a brilliant independent cinema, the Tyneside Cinema, which we've both talked about quite a lot because we've been to see a lot of films there. And that was like our first proper date for a long, long time. Like, properly going out on a night together.
I think it's the first time we've been to the cinema together since seeing Elvis.
Wow, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
I remember that because it was such a rare occasion.
Which was on my birthday, I think.
Yeah, was it through the day?
Yeah, we took my birthday off. We'd think we'd been for lunch and then we went to see Elvis together.
Yeah, because that was the only way we could do it at the time.
Yes.
Because he would have been our son would have been at nursery.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So it just goes to show you. But yeah, what an interesting turn of events to be going to the cinema together to watch a wrestling documentary
Starring me.
Starring you. I know. It was so funny. We were sat together. We had these brilliant seats in the Tyneside. We were fairly near the back. That I don't normally sit near the back because I'm a little person and I find it really hard to like see over the tall people's heads. But what I loved about it was lots of people came out to this premiere. Lots of locally famous people who we have seen perform in a wrestling ring, people behind the scenes, but also the performers. And the thing that I loved most about like sitting fairly near the back was as I looked out at the crowd, it wasn't sort of like the tall heads of people that I was spotting. It was the performers. I was like, oh, there's name a wrestler.
Yes.
Oh, there's name a referee. And just like in their civvies.
Yeah.
Like just sitting there having a good time with their friends. It was fabulous.
Yeah, it was good fun. I didn't realise this was the reason why we hadn't done a podcast. I just thought, like in the 2000s when David Beckham shaved his hair and did a mohawk and then everyone else copied. I just thought we were copying the Robs and not doing a podcast anymore.
Well, of course, because they stopped after their 200th episode, and I did think maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for us as well.
Yes.
But there has been a lot going on. I mean, that was Watch the Lights, which was a brilliant documentary, and everyone was there. There was a Q&A afterwards. It was just brilliant, and not only was it just fun to be out together and watching a documentary like that spoke so much about the Northeast and the wrestling community and the people who go and watch wrestling. North Wrestling is the what do you call it? You know all the lingo. Is it the promotion?
Yeah, I think that's the most official term.
Okay,
yeah,
so the people behind everything that was going on and the people who were featured in the documentary, and they're so inclusive, and you could see that from the audience, from everyone there, and clearly with our son being disabled, it's the sort of thing where you sort of think, in many years' time, will he be, by the ring, being involved in all these sorts of things. Your brain automatically takes you there, and it makes it even more special, doesn't it? Because you just think, these are our people.
Yeah.
So that was like date number 1, and then date number 2. Another reason why we weren't doing a podcast that night was we actually went to see some wrestling.
So Watch the Lights was the prep and going into North Wrestling's big event, which is Thunderstruck. And then we went to see Thunderstruck 2 a year to the day after the first one.
And I got to see one of my favourite wrestlers of all time when Mark used to put sort of like WWE on an evening, and we were desperately trying to get our son to sleep. Anyone who has listened to this podcast for many years will know the trials and torments of getting our son to sleep. And we would be, he would have, you would have the wrestling on in the background, the WWE, and this guy called Elijah, as he was known there, would come out and he would play a guitar.
No, it was Elias then.
Sorry, it was Elias. See, I've
Oh,
rethought it because he's
proper,
Elijah now.
yeah.
Yeah, he was the drifter, wasn't he? And he played guitar and he had long hair. And then I bought a Christmas decoration that looked like him. So he's on our tree every year. Anyway, Elias, now Elijah, was in the Northeast right in front of me as I was sipping on my rum and coke, doing all of these moves with new legend Joe Hendry, who is appearing in all sorts of things, and the crowd went wild for. And I mean, how I know this stuff now, I'm so happy. I know you were so happy. You wanted this to be a wrestling podcast once upon a time, and it turned into a TV and film podcast. But I'm letting this in the preamble.
Well, we could be on tour in a couple of years to a wrestling event.
Could we?
Yes.
What was that about? Where is it going to be?
Awfully acted.
Thank you.
Yeah, so there's speculation that WrestleMania might be in London in the near future. I am cynical about that fact.
I don't understand where your cynicism comes from, because you've got Triple H, I know him.
Yes.
With Mayor Khan, with Sadiq Khan.
Yes.
Shaking hands, and Sadiq Khan holding up a tiny little belt, which did look a little bit silly. They should have given him a full-size belt.
They give away full-size belts to everyone. I don't understand why they've given him a tiny one.
Little
and then he
belt.
held it up like he was the champion.
And it didn't work with a little belt. It just,
No.
there was something not quite right about it.
No.
I don't understand why you're so cynical, because have they done this before? Have they been to cities before and sort of led them on?
Well, no. They don't normally talk about these things, and it's interesting. You'll have seen, may have seen on the news that, this is Sadiq Khan, who, as part of his election promise, said, I want to get things like the Super Bowl, things like WrestleMania to London. And it's long since been rumoured that they were wanting to. They had an event in London a couple of years ago where John Cena came out and said, we want a WrestleMania in London. And they've kind of been fluttering their eyelashes at each other for a little while. I think the reason I don't believe it's going to happen is because this news came out of the Mayor of London's office. And I just think, why would you release that? Whenever they have a big event anywhere, they require the local city to pay them to bring it, kind of like the Olympics, to be on topic. Cities have to bid for the Olympics and make, they pay a lot of money for the Olympics to come to them. It's the same with WrestleMania now, because WWE is such a strong commercial entity, and 100,000 people come to a city for WrestleMania, so it does drive the local economy. So I could understand WWE saying, well, give us a bit of that slice of that. A lot of UK fans have actually, there's been a bit of backlash against it, saying the City of London doesn't need WrestleMania to be, to come to. They shouldn't be paid out of public money. Now, I mean, I'm sure it's out of like marketing budgets, the same budget that puts Visit London posters on the metro and stuff like that, rather than the movie Rob Cast's council tax going to pay for this. I mean, I'm more than happy for Rob and Rob to pay for me to go down, and I don't have to. I'd have to spend 4 figures on a flight to go across to some American.
I mean, it's a shame they don't do something a bit more up north. That,
where are they going to put it?
I don't know, but it would be nice, wouldn't it?
Where 100? Did you not hear me? 100,000 people
Honey,
coming in.
I don't do numbers. When you say 100,000, the Skittles falling from the sky. I mean, I just have no idea what that is.
Yeah. I mean,
can we fit them into the Metro Arena?
Probably not. Yeah, I mean, you probably going to need an airport with a little bit more capacity, to be perfectly honest.
I'm showing my age because it's not even called the Metro Arena anymore. I was called the Metro Arena in like 1994.
It's still the Metro Arena to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it'd be a lovely opportunity to go down and not have to play tourist. And actually, when I went to a couple of years ago, I went to see WrestleMania in LA, and that was kind of like, I thought that was the one time I was going to do WrestleMania. And then this year, when WrestleMania came around, I was like a little bit glum because I was like, I miss it. Like,
you were watching people, weren't you, being there? It's
not even the event; it's just the city, because this, you walk off the plane and it was big banners. Welcome to City of Los Angeles. Welcomes WrestleMania. There was big banners down all the streets in.
I mean, there was
downtown LA.
all the people telling you that you were a sinner and God hates you as well.
Yeah. There were people protesting outside. To be honest,
the mad church people.
Why are you going to this stupid event? I mean, that's
that's what they were saying.
That's nothing that my dad didn't tell me growing up watching wrestling. So, frankly, I've been shamed worse than they can give me. But it'd be nice to go down and be able to not give a shit about seeing a big city. It's kind of like a paradox at the minute, because if I was to go to another WrestleMania in America, I'd kind of want it to be a city I could go and sort of explore, like I did LA.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily, like, there's talk of it being in Indianapolis in a couple of years, and I'm not really interested in exploring Indianapolis. I'm sure it's a really interesting city, but if it was in London, go down on the Wednesday, go to all the extra events that go on.
Yes, you'd be able to.
I didn't want to go to the I wanted to go to the Hall of Fame when I went there, but it took place in the middle of the Friday, which was my first day there and kind of my only free day. So
you wanted to go and see LA. You're in LA.
Yeah. So I couldn't. But London, I've been there. I know it already. So give me everything. And also, I'm not spending money on stupid plane tickets. So I'll just go to the. I'll go stop at the Ritz or something. It's
very nice.
With the money I won't.
I got that. Yeah, I got the sarcasm. Don't worry.
What have we been watching? I've been watching Euros and.
Are we going to pivot to TV and film now?
Yeah, let's do
stop
that.
the rest of it. I'm going to do one TV because we've actually not been watching a huge amount because Olympics have been on. We've been going out.
Let's just say the Olympics have been on like 2 days.
I know, but but the Euros thing I can think of. Euros are on. All of that sort of. We've been out a lot, which is like I say, really rare for us. But I'm going to do one TV, and then we're going to do a couple of films.
Yeah,
let's do TV.
Watching television.
Have you ever seen the film Presumed Innocent with Harrison Ford?
No, it's on my list to watch, but I've never quite got round to
It's
watching
on my list now as well.
Okay.
I haven't seen it, but there was a Jake Gyllenhaal TV show called Presumed Innocent that arrived on Apple TV. You were out one night, and I thought, you know what? I think I'm quite interested in this. It looks like a courtroom drama. Like, Jake Gyllenhaal, I think, is a brilliant actor, and I hadn't seen him do a lot of television.
Yeah.
Can you think of him doing any other TV? Because I can't off the top of my head.
I think he was interviewed on the film program a couple of times, but
You know what
I don't think he's
mean.
I don't think he's done that much
And
TV.
he's the lead. There were lots of other people involved in it whose names I can't remember. Apart from Ruth Negga, his wife in this. So
Yeah.
I knew some names, and it just looked like the sort of thing I would like. It was crime, courtroom, based on a film that, I suspect it was a book, but, you know, there was a film with Harrison Ford, so it's sort of in the 90s, which sounds like my sort of thing.
Yeah.
We had got rid of Apple, so I saw that you could do a watch it for free, like watch the first episode for free.
Okay.
Which was amazing because, like I say, you were out that night, so I watched that first episode, got absolutely obsessed, and then I signed us back up to Apple TV.
Yeah, I think I was actually away with work.
Yes.
Actually what was happening.
Yeah,
but yes.
so it was a really, really good one. It was like, right, I've watched this first episode. I'm really, really interested in it, and I have become obsessed with it. Slight side step: whilst we've been away from the pod, I've been on another podcast. I now co-host Made for TV with my brilliant TV critic friends Sarah and Dawn. And we covered this on one of our episodes.
That's not the reason I've not wanted
waiting,
to record.
I'm waiting for you to say something.
Spitting my fucking dummy out if that's what we're doing.
But essentially, I was talking to Dawn and Sarah on our other podcast, Made for TV, about this show, about Presumed Innocent, and just saying how much I was loving it. But I was finding it really hard because it was being released week by week. Apple was not doing the thing where they just shoved it all on.
Apple never do.
No,
you get this all the time.
It was really tough. Get your violins out. It was really tough for me because with you being away, because I remember now, yes, you were away, I wanted something to watch. I wanted a thing for me to have, just for me, whilst I had the opportunity to be in the house by myself. And it wasn't there because it was only being released once a week. Anyway, I have loved this show. One slight reservation that it involves, this is not giving anything away, but it involves the murder of a woman. And I did feel that there was some gratuitous scenery around the body of the woman and the murder of the woman. And I didn't feel that we really got to know the victim in a way that I would have expected in modern day narrative.
Okay.
I think it really showed its 1990s roots in the writing, in the way that person was portrayed, and that it didn't really become about her. It became about the person who was accused of the murder. Lots of like who did it, who didn't do it.
That's how it's pronounced, the
goes.
genre. Who did it?
But it was one of those things where
I love a who did it.
Normally, I'm able to work out, like if I was watching The Fugitive, right, back in the day, thinking of another Harrison Ford in the 90s. In The Fugitive, I could have told you within about half an hour who did it. I'm very good at a Grisham. I can take a good look at who's there, what are they doing, who's it going to be, who's got the biggest like credit, who's the biggest actor that they've got involved in this film in like a bit part, or in this TV show in a bit part, and I can work out kind of down to maybe 2 or 3 people who it might be. With this one, every single episode I was like, oh, it's them, and I didn't work it out until the very, very end.
Shall we go back to... I would refer everyone back to our Mayor of Easttown review where you were sure who it was. I said, I'm not sure it is. I don't think they'll give it away like the week before. You're like, no, it's obvious. No, it wasn't.
Don't remember that at all. Anyway, I just really liked it. It's just a very classy whodunit with a lovely bit of courtroom drama, some excellent acting. Obviously, take a point off for slightly 1990s portrayal of the victim, but I really enjoyed it. And like I say, it's Apple. It's like lovely, glossy. You know, they could have very easily done this on, I mean, I'm not having a go at them, but like BBC or ITV, and it wouldn't have had the sheet. There's something about, I don't know whether it's the money or the level of the acting, but it really elevated it, even with my reservations around that particular point. And I just loved it. I looked forward to it every week. I was surprised by what happened. It is coming back for a second series, and I really wish it wasn't.
Oh dear. Yeah.
And actually, Dawn, like I say, my co-host on Made for TV, Dawn Glenn, she was mentioning how she may be, apparently with the screeners, I think she was talking about this on another podcast that I'm involved with from time to time, which is the Custard TV podcast. She was mentioning on there that they had announced this second season, but they were holding on the screeners that they had access to. They were holding out that last episode, so no one was seeing that last episode. And actually, I think Pilot TV were talking about that as well, that they couldn't see that last episode. And she was suggesting that maybe they were changing it, that maybe they were manoeuvring it to open it up for a season 2. I really wish there wasn't a season 2. I wish this was just a standalone series. But I loved it. If you like that sort of thing, get yourself a 7-day trial of Apple TV, because you can get free trials now.
Because they are all out now.
Because they are all out.
And you won't be sat with a pet lip all week because there's no more episodes to watch.
I know. I was like doing what I do, which is like, I'll just restart the subscription for a couple of weeks and then go back.
Because I rang you and like just check in because I was away with work, and a good like first 10 minutes of the conversation was you just talking about how annoyed you were that
like,
this wasn't on.
How can I get it? How can I get? Can you work out how you're like? Yeah, it was. What a lovely conversation for you to have.
I felt really rewarded and missed.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, that's all I've got for TV.
I watched like 20 minutes of Blue Bloods the other night.
When was that on? Is that like an early 2000s show?
No, do you remember watching it? We had it on in the background. It was Donnie Wahlberg and Tom Selleck.
Yes. Now I do.
That's literally all the TV I've watched. Oh, apart from Downton. I could talk a lot about Downton.
Oh, you could talk a lot about Downton.
Yeah.
My favourite thing at the moment, everyone, is I'll say, I'm a bit tired. Do you mind if I just go up to bed? And Mark's face lights up. Like if it's like 8:30, 9ish, and I'm like, look, I'm just gonna. Even sometimes I'm just gonna take my laptop upstairs and just finish off a bit of work or something like that.
And by the time you finish off work, Labrador's running across the screen and piano riff.
I'm basically halfway up the stairs, and all I hear is the Downton Abbey theme tune.
Penelope Wilton's giving Ethel a chance after her, but Carson does not approve.
And then Mark comes to bed and gives me the lowdown of what happened in Downton Abbey.
I was very sad.
On that episode.
I was very sad about Lady Sybil.
He's hit the Lady Sybil episode, everyone.
I also know that Cousin Matthew's bought a car, and one of the few things I know is that's not going to end well.
It's genuinely one of my favourite things, but at some point it will come to an end, because I stopped watching Downton Abbey like a few series in, and at some point you were gonna go past. But yeah, there are major things that I know that you don't know, that every now and again you'll come and someone's got a cold, or someone's got a cough, or Cousin Matthew's bought a car.
Yes.
I'm like, I hope he doesn't drive it too fast.
Spoilers.
It's not me spoiling it. I was just making up a story.
Should we get onto films?
Saturday night at the movies. Who cares what picture you see? When you're with your baby, last row in the balcony.
Can we talk about Hitman first of all?
Yeah, we watched that together.
We did.
It's a rare occasion.
Yes.
But that's because it was on. Is it Netflix?
It's Netflix, yeah.
Netflix, yeah.
I think we've both got very different opinions about this film.
We do, because we had one of our mates round and we were talking about the things that we'd watched recently, and I'd completely forgotten that we'd watched Hitman. And you came out with your review of it, and I think I sort of stomped around like a small squirrel and was like, I hated it! Which kind of gives away what you thought.
Why? So, Hitman is... a rare screen appearance for Glenn Powell, who has only appeared in about 14 films this year.
You know what? I read he was in Top Gun Maverick.
Yes.
Or as our mate, who we're still talking about from the same conversation, who that mate insisted on calling it Maverick. And you would not let that go.
Because I spent like the first 5 minutes thinking he was talking about the Mel Gibson card movie. I was like, that's a weird thing to
Walk
watch.
into a
And
saloon.
I'm surprised it's on telly now after,
So now I just call it Maverick, and you insist on putting Top Gun in front. But anyway, Top Gun Maverick. Glenn Powell was obviously in that film with Tom Cruise, and he really spoke to Tom Cruise about his career and trying to build his career. And I think that's what he's doing. I think he's becoming, I think it's very strategic and it's working really well for him. He's in romantic comedies, he's in action, and he's not, I suppose, I don't want to say he's bland, right? Because he's not. He's very charismatic, he does the job well. But you can put him into all of those things, a bit like you could have done with Cruise in the early days. Pop him into an action, pop him into a romance, pop it,
Oh no!
You're looking at me funny.
Oh no! I'm moaning about someone being a versatile actor who can fit into multiple different genres.
Think it's really interesting that he's following that path. I really feel like he's thought about it, and it feels like a Cruise. And I don't know whether he'll then later on in life start doing films like Magnolia, for example.
Yeah.
Go on then. I've had my little Glenn Powell chat.
So Hitman is the story of Glenn Powell as, I'm going to get the character name up because it's Gary Johnson, who is a teacher who on a sideline works with the police to profile people who are wanting to hire a hitman. Smells of entrapment to me, but they put someone acting as a hitman in, they offer them money, and then you can arrest them. Again, smells of entrapment.
I mean, they do make that point in the film.
Yeah, but anyway. One day...
It is a comedy.
Yes. One day, everything convenes that he has to be the person who is acting as a hitman, and he gets a buzz for it. And I think that's probably the first half of the film, isn't it? That he really researches it, he adopts new characters.
Because he's a teacher, isn't he?
Yes.
It might even be like a university lecturer.
Yeah,
He's
and he's a philosophy and
Yes.
Sociology sort of.
So he really loves going
Yeah.
into the characters of these hitmen that he produces.
And then, wouldn't you know it, he falls in love with one of the people who wants to hire a hitman, and hilarity ensues.
Or does it?
I think this is I love this film. This will be my top 10 of the year.
You are joking me.
No, I think it's smart. It's funny. I think Glenn Powell absolutely shines in every single scene that he's in. I think there's a really unconventional structure to this where stuff keeps on happening. And that absolutely worked to me in that I didn't see where it was going. I knew that we're 10 minutes from the end, and I'm like, how is this going to end? And boy, does it end. And then it just stops, which I didn't quite, which I was fine with. Go on then.
Well, I agree with everything you've said. I think Glenn Powell's really charismatic. I think it's a jumbled mess. I think it has no structure to it whatsoever. It's like someone has cut up lots of bits of the script and then moved them all around and then left some out. And you've got an incomplete puzzle. And then, yes, it does end completely just abruptly and in a way that just does not feel right to the characterization and to the performances. I think the person who is playing the woman...
Adria Arjona.
Yeah. I think her character changes so much within the film that I thought it was a purposeful thing, that it was going to be like some sort of double bluff, or you were going to find out something about her, and that is not the case. She's just playing a role, but it was like in every scene she was a different person, and nothing that she did made any sense to me whatsoever. It just didn't follow. Now obviously comedy is not my forte, I totally accept that, but I don't think it was the comedy that was the issue here. I think it was the structure. I thought the tone was all over the shop, and the script and the narrative. It wouldn't surprise me if this hasn't, it's double negative. I wouldn't be surprised if someone had created this and then jumbled it all, and it had a number of edits to get it to the point where it is. this is a 2-star film for me, and that's only because of the performance of Glenn Powell, and the idea of it is okay. And I think I enjoyed the first maybe half an hour, but after that it really fell down for me. I can't understand how this would be in your top 10 of the year. I can't see how you can't see the problems with this film.
4.5 stars. You stop that face right now.
I'm really sorry. I don't even know you anymore. What has happened?
I mean, if you listen to this, I think this is quite a polarizing film, because I don't know if you listen to the cinema review of it.
No, I haven't
they
yet.
Are absolutely, to us, maybe not top 10 of the year on one side, but yeah, absolutely opposite ends of the spectrum. So
oh,
yeah.
good. Oh, I'm gonna enjoy.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I'm gonna enjoy listening to that.
Yes.
Because I think I'll need that.
But no, I think it's great fun. I think it absolutely flies by. It's 2 hours long, but I think at no point did I think, oh God, like this is dragging on, because I think it's just a hectic pace, and that's the thing that I really liked about it. It was the pace, and then it's over with, and then we can all move on with our lives. Apart from you, who apparently,
I mean, I've moved on with my life quite quickly. I mean, it's so forgettable. I even forgot we'd watched it until it came up in conversation. It will not be on my top 10 of the year.
But it will. Well, it might be on mine.
I'd like to talk about something that will be on my top 10 of the year, unless something random comes in. And I know it's been a while since this film came out, but it is a 2024, and I just want to mention it because I just thought it was brilliant. Why are you laughing?
Because I thought you were talking about Deadpool Wolverine.
No, we're not there yet. Yeah, I can't remember. It is a 2024 film, but it's you can look it up when it came out. It's The First Omen. Now, this is a prequel to The Omen, which I love as a film and actually as a franchise.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I mean, this is going to make me sound weird, but sometimes, when I don't have anything else to put on, I will put on like really old, no, it's not really old film, but like films from the 70s, horrors, or 80s, like American Werewolf in London is my go-to for, I need to sort my life out. What can I watch? I'm going to watch an American Werewolf in London. And The Omen, weirdly, has become one of those films. Even though I'm terrified most of the time, I just really like the vibe of it.
Can I just say, I have never, ever known you watch The Omen.
Well, no, because you don't see me watching American Werewolf in London. Like, these are things that I do, like, when no one else is around. It's a... Like,
when was the last time you watched The Omen? I'm just interested.
A couple of weeks ago.
Was that because you just watched the
Yes.
first Omen? And when was the last time before that?
Probably a couple of years. But it is one of those ones where I feel an affinity with the atmosphere of it. I really like the atmosphere of those, that build-up of dread. I love films that involve, like, religious horror. I really, really... I don't know why, but I'm, like... Because I'm an atheist. But I really like... And I get quite a kick out of religious horror films. So, like, The Exorcist, for example. Huge fan of that. Like I say, like The Omen. Anything involving, like, Satanism, the devil, good versus evil, God, all of that sort of stuff. Nuns, love a bit of Nuns. I was going to say The Sound of Music, but you don't have too much evil in that apart from the Nazis. It's all of that sort of stuff I really, really like. And I think it's my equivalent of, some people really love a spooky film and that's what gives them a bit of a buzz. I can't do that because I'm terrified of ghosts, but I can do religious horror. Even though I still find it scary, it's not so scary that I want to go and hide under the bed. So anyway, The Omen. Really enjoyed that film. Wasn't entirely sure on the prequel, but it came up and it was another one, like, I think you were away. And it came up and I just thought, well, if I watch 10 minutes of it and I get a bit scared, The First Omen, I can easily just switch it off and never think about it again. And I watched the entire thing. In an afternoon, I remember it now, it was in an afternoon. And honestly, I thought it was just phenomenal. And prequels normally, for films that are revered,
Yes.
don't go very well. this is absolutely on a par with The Omen. And the performances, the narrative, the cinematography. And I have to say, I knew I was going to be watching a film which involved birth, which involved pregnancy, just from the nature of what, of The Omen and, Damien and giving birth to a child that would there, all of that sort of thing. I knew I was going to be looking at a film that involved those things. And because of what's happened in our life, those are things that I normally step away from. So there are films that have been out this year that look at similar situations, like Immaculate, for example.
That's what came to mind.
As I've seen the trailer of that, and I thought, I'll never watch that. But for this, I was able to watch it. I was able to cope with it. I was okay with it. And that's a really weird thing, but actually there were certain scenes which really helped me to process some of the trauma that I've had, and to find myself watching scenes of sort of pregnancy and birth which were so powerful and spoke to so many things that have been going on in my head, and a lot of women who I know who have suffered pregnancy loss and baby loss and all of that trauma that was so powerful that it kind of took on a life of its own. I think it's a phenomenal film. I think it's been really underrated. There is one scene which, if you have watched the film, anyone listening, you will know this scene, where Nell Tiger Free, who is the lead in this, does a scene on her own. And it is a scene of body horror that engages with both horror and trauma and ecstasy and relief and release and female rage and pleasure. It is the most phenomenal piece of acting I think I've seen for such a long period of time. And given that it involves all of those themes that I would naturally move away from for all of my personal reasons, it's kind of stayed with me longer than perhaps it would if I didn't have that history. I just think it's a phenomenal film, and I wish more people were talking about it, and I wish more people were talking about her performance. It's full of dread, it's full of character. Like I say, it is beautifully shot, and it goes right up to the starting point of The Omen from the 1970s. So I really wanted to talk about it on the podcast, even though it's been out for a while. Obviously, it's now streaming. If you like that sort of thing, give it a go. Don't be put off by the fact that it's a prequel.
Okay.
Because you were really keen on Immaculate, weren't you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. That could very well be in my top 10 of
and
the
I think it's been sort of propped up again. So I've heard on a couple of podcasts people saying, oh, well, it's no Immaculate. And obviously I haven't seen Immaculate, and you have given me a little bit of a warning about that film as well.
Yeah.
So I might be less inclined to go and watch it because you know me, and you have suggested to me that there might be some things in there that I wouldn't want to see. But yeah, I think it's a shame that they've almost been like propped up against each other. But I understand why, because these films are talking about reproductive rights.
Yeah.
They're talking about women's rights, and they are clearly taking into consideration everything that's going on in the world in relation to women and pregnancy and reproductive rights. And I'm really happy about that. Art will reflect the world, and we can learn things through art as well. So I'm really happy that they're both there. I'm just sad that they've almost been pitted against each other. Right, I've stopped talking about you're like looking terrified into your microphone. I've stopped talking about the devil and God and nuns and pregnancy loss. Would you like to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine for a bit of a tonal shift?
Yes,
Yeah.
I feel this is a film which you need to go in. You will get, if you're listening to a film podcast, you will get a lot out of this. And if you know as little as possible, I think you will get more out of this.
I don't understand a word you've just said. That are you talking to our listeners or are you talking to me?
I'm talking to our listeners.
Right. Okay.
I would say to anyone who cares enough about films to listen to a film podcast,
Right.
Therefore has the knowledge of mainstream movies and things like that. I think there are so many references in this that absolutely hit me in the stomach and were like, perfect.
Right.
And if I'd have, say, for example, scrolled through IMDb, I would have been that would have been spoiled on me.
Yeah, you warned me not to do that this morning, and I didn't understand why you thought I would do.
Well,
what, just to like see who's in it generally?
Yeah, and you might have like looked at the time, like tried to look at how long it was.
Right.
And then,
Okay. Understood.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, don't go looking for anything because the joy of this film is not knowing what's coming around the corner.
I mean, I'll say it now. I think the plot of this is absolute bullshit.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not a big fan. So this follows on very much from the 2 seasons of Loki that we've had, and I can take or leave timey-wimey stuff anywhere.
Yeah.
There is very much timey-wimey things, but this is basically just an excuse to get Deadpool hanging around with Wolverine.
Yeah.
And
or a Wolverine.
Yes, and get Hugh Jackman
a version of Wolverine
back as Wolverine.
as Logan.
Yeah. One of the great all-time opening credit sequences and pre-credit scenes. I mean, this is a hard 15.
Yes.
I saw when I went in last night, there was a child not being let in because his older brother had bought a ticket, and then when he'd come in, he was like, obviously someone had said, no, it's a 15. To be fair, the kid was like, oh, but I've seen the others. He's like, yeah. And the manager was being actually pretty cool with him. He was like, look, I know it's just not worth our job. Look, we'll give you a refund, and if you want to go see anything else, it's on us. And yeah, which is
what
quite
was
nice.
he trying to get him to go and see? You told me last night.
He wanted to go see Twisters.
He was trying to move him away from Deadpool, Wolverine, to Twisters.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that wasn't.
I would want.
Yeah.
I'd want to go and see Twisters rather. You know, if you were looking at it, I'm like, yes, I like to see that because I wasn't keen on going to see this. I was looking to go and see Longlegs. I was looking to go and see Twisters. Deadpool, not my cup of tea. The humour in it, like, I'm not a prude by any stretch of the imagination, but sometimes the genital humour in Deadpool, it's not that it's gross, it's that it's just so full of adjectives and it tells a story that's just so explicit. And I'm not talking about the language, I'm talking about like where the genitals are going and what the genitals are doing, and you know, all of it's not just a dick joke, it's got so much more to it, and it's just a bit much for me. I
think you saw very different at this film if you saw genitals
I mean?
going somewhere.
But you know what I mean? There's it's never like just a joke, it's a joke with like another thing and what the feeling would be and what would be happening, and it's like it's a bit like sensory overload for me, but in like a knob gag. And it just gets a bit much. I know I'm old now, but it just doesn't necessarily appear. I think one very good dick joke is very clever and would make me like, but you know, when it's over and over and over again, so it's just not my cup of tea.
And I think there are diminishing returns on those things. You know, there is a joke which is quite early on in it's in the trailer as well, so I feel fine saying it. You know, there is a joke around how, because for anyone who's not seen it, Deadpool is someone who breaks the fourth wall and makes a lot of inner references. Obviously, he's previously been part of the X-Men universe, but with Fox being bought by Disney, he has now become part of the mainstream Marvel group, and it's a Disney release. And there is a joke, when the TVA come along with their truncheons, and he says, "Look, guys, pegging's not new to me, but it is new to Disney."
Like that, I think that's clever, and
yes.
All the references, but yeah, it's when and that's a one-off and it's quick.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is the things that just, it just becomes a little bit, funnily enough, 15-year-old.
Yes. Yeah. I totally with you on that. I think there's definitely diminishing returns on the dick and on the dick and fart jokes.
Yeah.
But
like I really enjoyed this.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And that's what I'm like.
I was not sure where you were going to go with it.
No, I just thought it was a hell of a lot of fun. And with all of that baggage, with me going, am I just going to sit here and roll my eyes, which I, as you know, I'm very happy to do. Am I just going to be sitting here thinking, well, it's nice to get out of the house and be on my own for a bit, because I went to a 9:15 showing where the cleaners were still hoovering around me.
Henny, you need to make this clear.
What?
It was 9:15 in the morning.
Oh, in the morning, yes. Sorry. In my head, it had AM written next to it, but
Yes.
I hadn't said those words. So yeah, at 9:15, like, it's because I would never go to a 9:15 p.m. showing because I am old now.
Yes.
It just wouldn't happen. So yeah, I went really, really early in the morning. Like I say, all the cleaners said hello to me. I said hello back, and I was like, do they think I work here? Or do they know I'm going to be the only person walking into the cinema? Anyway, go in. Thought I might just have a nice couple of hours off anyway, but I really, really enjoyed it. I just thought it was so much fun, and I think I had to go in with an open mind and just be like, let's just see where this takes me. But it took me to places, like, emotional places that I didn't expect. There were some scenes and some things that happened, and I know we're going to be really, really careful because we don't want we want people to have the experience that we had when we went into it. As you rightly say, there were some things that happened that made me feel, especially as a woman as well, there were some things that I saw that I just was like, yes. And some things that as a film fan and as a lover of film and being of a certain age, that I just got a kick out of. I just got a massive kick out of. And I think I won't have got a lot of the references or, all the references, but the references that I did get were very meaningful for me. So it really spoke to the person who in 1999 was getting DVDs that you turned over. And, we were talking about Love Film the other day, weren't we? Where, DVDs used to get sent through the post to us and then we had to send them back. And that was the early days of Netflix. It really appealed to that person who is now, 20 odd years older.
Yeah, if you've seen sufficient amounts of, especially superhero movies, and been in with the news of films that were due to come out and haven't come out, and casting decisions around that, there is so many jokes around this that just absolutely beams of light. And then add on top of that is the meta references. There is one which there is a point where Deadpool grabs the camera and I was laughing for a good 2 minutes afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
and things that and it's not just breaking the fourth wall in terms of the character, it's breaking the fourth wall in terms of the actors.
Yes.
So they're talking about things that are happening to the actors in real life.
Yes.
And that I thought was phenomenal and unexpected, and really, I think it really shows that there's a lot of trust in the writing. Obviously, it's Ryan Reynolds and lots of other people involved in putting all of this together.
Yeah.
But also with Hugh Jackman coming in. I have to say, Hugh Jackman is just a bloody good actor. When you just, like, I know it's Deadpool and Wolverine, but I really felt that it was a very much a Wolverine film. It wasn't just, and Wolverine. It really pushed more towards him, I felt, as obviously the emotional arc. And there were lots of close-ups of Hugh Jackman's face, and he has a number of scenes where he's reflecting on Logan and being Wolverine, the X-Men. And they really got me. They really, really got me but most of the time I was just thinking, God, you're good. And I hope that and I don't know, I mean, tell me if you think I'm wrong, I just wonder whether he gets enough of a compliment, I suppose, whether he's recognised enough for that level of acting. Obviously he does The Greatest Showman, he's in Les Mis, he's been doing this for many, many years. But that level of acting is just phenomenal.
Was he Oscar nominated for Van Helsing?
You have to bring it down, don't you? You have to.
No, I totally agree. I think of this, I mean, Logan was obviously something where he was tipped to be nominated for an Oscar, and I don't believe he was. But yeah, I mean, this is someone who is absolutely comfortable with a character as I've seen in a long, long time.
It's so truthful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just really, when he's on the screen, you know he's Hugh Jackman. You know they're referencing the fact he's Hugh Jackman, but he is that character. He is that person. I think he does. There's such an authenticity and an honesty about his performance, which I didn't expect to be saying coming out of the Deadpool film.
No, I agree. This is a troubled Wolverine, and Hugh Jackman definitely lays it on. He's also been taking his protein shakes, hasn't
he? Just, I mean, I wasn't thinking anything else. Yeah, of course he's gonna be, but yeah, the only thing I felt about it, I thought it was a little bit long.
Okay.
I think it could have been trimmed.
Yeah, I mean, I think any film could be trimmed, to be honest. Any film over 2 hours, that's certainly a lark.
I did find myself just kind of going, yeah, I'm feeling the length. I wasn't as persuaded by, let's say, the villainous characters or the baddies as I would have liked to have been, but I think this is a problem with all superhero films, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, Emma Corrin plays the bad guy in this, or one of the bad guys. I'll be honest, I didn't care for any of the characterization or the plot around that. I was waiting for the next meta reference, and that's why I think I might even be lower down on this than you.
Interesting.
But I think this is the ultimate cheat day film, in that the whole of the plot could be replaced by anything, but there are every 10 minutes there is something happens that will stick with me for remember when that happened? Remember when that happened? And it's almost like they've tried to put some plot in Airplane.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
And that's why I was quite unsure whether you'd get on with this, because you famously...
Yeah, and I think I've sort of been able to put it to one side.
Yeah.
Because I enjoyed the emotion. I think if you hadn't
There
had
is
that
a lot more
emotional,
emotion in this, yeah.
If it was just, let's say your typical, in inverted commas, Deadpool film, where it's just bang, 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 joke, 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 and some sort of plot about a gangster or whatever.
Yeah.
But with very little emotional sort of resonance, then I probably would say that I think the addition of Wolverine, the addition of the other things that happened, in inverted commas, the other things that happened, and some of them weren't even throwaway, some of them went on for a while, and I thought, this is really, really interesting, the emotional response I'm getting. Oh yeah, I mean, there are characters that stick around for the whole of the second act. When people talk about cameos, for example, cameos are normally, someone pops up for maybe a scene and they go, and that not necessarily the case, but I think it was the arcs of Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, we haven't even talked about the action, but the action scenes, the fight scenes, the stunts, the coordination, all of that sort of stuff put together with that really worked for me. Obviously the action's brilliant. And massively, amazingly awesome comic book deaths. Of people being killed in even more elaborate ways than normal. Yeah. Which, I'm not going to say it's the most mature thing I'm going to see on screen this year, but seeing people... the opening scene. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. The opening scene is something that will up there with a film that you really, really hate, in The Kingsman. Oh, God, but that fight in the church, I think the opening scene is up there with something that, for comic book violence. And I think for people who haven't seen the film, really worth sticking around for the credits, the sort of the scenes within the credits. There's something that plays during the credits which I really loved, and then there's an end credit sting, which isn't your typical sort of like throwaway or building to like the next thing. It was an interest. It actually worked in universe. So it was. I normally kind of either I'll sit and watch one and then I'll go and Google what the other one is, because there's usually about 10 of them, or I'll just leave and I'll not even bother. But with these ones, I'm really glad I stayed for them. So they are worth sticking around for, especially if, again, you're a film fan. I think it really works.
And it's good to know that the MCU haven't run out of ideas. I mean, I'm just looking forward to seeing who they cast as Doctor Doom.
Yeah, we got the news. We the collective we
received the press release this morning.
We received the news that Doctor Doom, and are they calling it Fantastic Four, the new film?
So there is a Fantastic Four film,
right? Oh, but this is
Avengers
just the MCU.
Doom. This is
isn't it?
Avengers Doomsday.
Oh, this is why I've lost it. I've totally lost where we are with Marvel. So Fantastic Four had Doctor Doom is the baddie for Fantastic Four, isn't it? Because I was
one of them.
Because I was remembering back to like the original incarnation from like the early 2000s of the Fantastic Four. Like I'm talking my original. There's probably a one before that, but where you've got Ewan Griffith and various other people in Fantastic Four. And that I remember Doctor Doom was played by someone who used to be married to Danny Minogue, and he was called Kyle someone. And that was my only fun fact when you started talking about Doom to me yesterday. But they're clearly replacing Kang for all the reasons.
Yes.
And Doctor Doom is going to become the new omnipotent. No, I can't say that.
He's going to be the big bad.
He's going to be the baddie, and they've cast a person in it, and they announced it. Was it at like a Comic Con or something like that?
Yes, it was at Comic Con.
Oh, was that the Comic Con?
San Diego Comic Con,
so
yeah.
You can tell how much I was looking at it. So they announced it at Comic Con, and I was like, there was a build up. You showed me a video. There was this build up, and I was like, which bright young thing are they going to bring out? Paul Mescal, because he's in everything, isn't he?
Yeah.
Are they going to bring out
Glenn Powell?
Timothy Chalamet, like all of it. I was like waiting for someone like that. Who did they bring out? Bloomin' Downey Jr. And I was like, well, how can he's Tony Stark and all that? But you're talking to me about the multiverse, aren't you?
I mean, I'm sure I'm interested to see how they do this. You just muttering to yourself.
I am sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's thoughts that the Fantastic Four will be a film that's set in the past when the film comes out.
Okay.
And this may bring us forward to that. And it might be that we have a different Victor Von Doom in the Fantastic Four. Well, that's his name.
I know. It's
Doctor Doom.
Doctor Doom.
Then we have a different in the past than we do in the future, in the current timeline, or whatever. So I don't know how that's going to work, but yeah.
I was saying to you, wasn't I? Just wish they'd give someone else a chance.
I mean, it's a huge fucking risk. It's an absolutely massive risk.
I'd really prefer it if they actually give someone up and coming a bit of a boost, rather than Robert, come back. You did really well for us. We'll have you again. And Robert Downey Jr. rubs his hands together and counts his money like Scrooge McDuck, be flying into coins.
Dr. Doolittle.
Thank you. Yes. You were really proud of that, weren't you?
I was really proud of that. And then someone I tweeted it this morning, and someone liked it immediately. Yeah. Thank you.
Which is the best thing, when you tweet something and someone likes it straight away.
Oh, yeah. Nothing better. Yeah. Nothing better.
Yeah. Okay.
Another 3 months?
Another 3 months, and then we'll be back.
Yes.
No, we are going to try and come back. We're probably going to have to go monthly, I think.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll not plan anything, because we'll just...
You literally just have.
I like planning.
Yes.
But yeah, we'll just not do it. Hopefully we'll be able to go out on a few more dates.
Yes.
And maybe go to the cinema together to not watch wrestling. or wrestling
I'm
adjacent.
not interested to this.
We might try and go to the flicks together.
But yeah, there's a few things that are coming up that I really want to see. I want to.
Oh, me too.
I want to see. I watch the
Loads.
Screen Glow, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I watched
the
watched
Screen
the
Glow.
TV screen.
I saw the Screen Glow. I think it's.
I'm sure it's got TV in it. I'm sure it's got TV in
I
the
saw
title.
the TV Glow.
There we go. Yes, I'm right, and I don't even know anything about it. I'd like to watch Alien Romulus. I am really excited about the Joker fully adieu. Yeah, adieu. Let me never say that again.
Adieu.
The
Adieu
Joker
to
2.
you, and you.
But mainly because Gaga's in it and it's a musical. Yes. Yeah, but Alien Romulus, love the Alien franchise, even the ones that no one likes. I really, really like them.
Can I just put out there and say the trailer looks shite?
The trailer looks amazing.
I really am.
The trailer is giving too much away, but
The
I
trailer
think
reminds me
it's-
of the Cloverfield paradox, which is
oh, okay. I kind of see where you're going with that. Yeah. Well, I'm very excited anyway. Mark. Less excited about Wicked. I'm sick of seeing that trailer. I've seen it so many times now.
I've just realised you've seen the exact same trailers I saw
I
the night
have,
before.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I really would like to go and see Twisters. To go and see
I think I'm going to go one night this week.
War Daisy and Glenn chasing some storms.
Well, until next time.
Until next time.
You can follow us. You can follow us and look at my amazing jokes whenever I remember to tweet them out on Twitter at the Honeymoon Pod, and also on Instagram at the Honeymoon Pod.
Yeah, fewer jokes on there, but more pictures.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.